Hello and welcome to another Monday. It is now the 29th of January 2018. I'm, as always, Dakia, and I'm here to show you some minis. And more than a month after they should have been finished, the last of this December's Christmas minis have been done. We have the reindeer here with a lot of presents on his back. And we have the little halfling rogue who has a bag of loot. He has some sort of bottle of something attached to his belt, and he has a mostly red outfit. Yeah. These are not as detailed as the studio paint jobs, but that's because I didn't have weeks to spend on them. You know, I just made them reasonably, I think, interesting. There goes the stand of my camera. Okay, I think it's stable. And finally we have, let's see if I can get this in shot, Sophie, the Christmas Sophie from, I forget which year. This is a 54mm mini, so it's a bit bigger. I put it on a sort of scenic base, and well, first, one of the things about having a wood base is that it was almost impossible to get all the sticky tack off. That is why she was difficult to pick up, because she stuck to the paper underneath here. Anyway, so I went with basically the color scheme from the promo pics. Not exactly. I switched a few colors here and there, but I was spending a lot of time on the inside of the wings, trying to darken it gradually and subtly, but eventually I just gave up and poured some purple onto it because I needed the contrast. I needed that to be much darker than the face and the jumpsuit. I mean, on the back of the wings, they can be light. That's okay. But for the balance, I wanted the insides to be dark, and it's kind of hard to explain why, but you know. The thing that took the most time was the skin tones, the face and the cleavage. We'll have to see how it looks on camera. It looks good at arm's length to the naked eye. When I'm looking at it really, really closely with my magnifying glasses, you know, I'm pretty happy with the face, not so much with the cleavage. It's a bit rough. The transitions when you're really zoomed in are not as smooth as I would want them to be on a figure of this large scale. But, you know, it's not for display or contest. It's for display in my cabinet at home only, so it doesn't need to be like Golden Demon standards. And I'm reasonably happy with it. And I think the little demon bunny is really cute. I think that one came off nicely. Yeah. So, those guys are done. And was that all? Also, these guys. So what we have here is some Reaper Bones giant ticks and giant centipedes, 4 of each. Very quick and dirty paint jobs. Almost feels like cheating, but you know, if they count as 8 purchased, they have to count as 8 painted minis as well. That's the deal. And yeah, you know, centipedes are probably not this bright in real life, but you need some contrast to the ground. So it's fantasy. And yeah, just some ordinary vermin, painted up. Good for dungeons. Let's see what I'm still working on. So here we have all my currently in progress stuff, and the stuff that's most advanced is the Sea Devils, which have all gotten some basic base coats. We have these guys in the front, the Werebear, the Werecroc, the Samurai, and back here we have the Nolzur's miniatures that I suppose you'd almost forgotten about. I mean, I almost forgot about them. but I'm working on it. Now for the Sea Devils, I've actually painted one of these miniatures before. This one I painted way back like this. And as you can see, the basic idea for the skin, being a blue-green, I've kept. I don't think I'm gonna keep the rest of the color scheme. The bronze, I'm not sure about. I think I'm going to go with something like bone or coral for their weapons and armor instead. And as you can see, I've gone with more of a watery theme for the bases. This is just a sand base, and I want for the new ones they're standing on pieces of ground, but they're like in water still. That's my new idea. Anyway, we'll just have to see which of these projects gets finished first. Kind of depends on whims and fancy. Yeah. So, do I have anything new in the works? For my next project to line up, I think I'm going to prep even more bones. Now, these are the ones that, of my latest orders, the ones that are left are in actual blisters, and I got these specifically because I wanted to complete my collection of gnolls. I had a bunch of gnolls from the Bones 2 Kickstarter, but they were all melee fighters. For some reason, the archers were not included in that Kickstarter. They came later, I believe. So I got 2 of them, and I'm going to try to paint them up to match whatever I did on the old ones. And then we have this big collection of stuff that I got in the stockings in the December orders. This is not all of them. I've taken out the ones that are duplicates that I don't want to paint, and I'm putting them in a pile of stuff that I'm going to have to give away to friends or anybody else who seems to need some extra figures to paint. Yeah. So these are either new, all new, or in some cases, I mean, there's multiples of this spear-wielding skeleton, but hey, skeleton hordes, you can never have too many of them. And there's a couple of this huge giant tick, but again, that's a monster that you can have duplicates of. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, we'll see how much gets done on these by next week. But anyway, that's the general idea. And while we're talking about future projects, let's look way into the future and make a note to future self. Since I've received all my packages from last year from Reaper now, I have all of the 25th anniversary miniatures. Well, not all of them. There were 2 months I skipped. I've got 10 of them, and I have duplicates of all of them, at least. And this one, as noted, I have 6 copies of. I also have duplicate copies of some of the Christmas minis. And I decided, rather than just paint 2 of each, I'm gonna put 1 copy of each in the pile of stuff to be painted relatively soon, and I'm going to seal the second copies away in a box, and I'm going to put it down in my basement storage, try to bury it somewhere and forget about it, and then I'll find it in 10 years and I can paint a second copy of each mini and see how I've progressed. So it's going to be like a kind of time capsule. And I'm going to close the lid on this and put it away. Let's see if I can manage to forget about it. This week's unboxing is a Kickstarter. It is for a miniatures game called Pulp Alley. And I was really just into it for the miniatures, but it was an expansion for the rules, and it was so cheap. You got the rules for free, basically. And so I just picked up the basic rules, picked up some card decks. Okay, this was the actual expansion, The Lost World of Lemuria. and a bunch of the miniatures. Now, I've painted some of the Pulp miniatures before. They didn't come like this with the cards, though. When I bought them from other places, they didn't have these stat cards for the game, which is kind of annoying if I ever want to play the game. That I lack those, I suppose. Oh well, never mind. So what are these miniatures? Well, as the name Pulp implies, they're sort of 20s or 30s action hero figures or villains. In this case, some villains. These are some sky pirates. I think Dr. Fang and Golgo Satana. That sounds like villains. While I believe Gage and Mac O'Reilly are heroes, and so forth, a few others. 14 minis in total, I believe, that I got from this little Kickstarter. And yeah, they're not high priority right now because I'm in a fantasy setting in my current gaming. If I ever get back to the Cthulhu, the 20s, sort of, or maybe even well, later 20th century gaming, these might become relevant again. But until then, they're going to have to be put aside a little bit. And yeah, that was the video for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Click like if you did. Even if you didn't, give me a like anyway. It's just fun. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And comment if you have anything to say. I will see you next week. Until then, I'm Dakian, and I'm signing off.